Pack your bags and get out, Bola. I'm done with this useless marriage. Duro's voice thundered through the living room of their Ikoyi apartment, echoing off the polished walls like a curse. Neighbors passing the hallway paused. The security guard downstairs lifted his head. Even the cleaner froze mid-swipe. What would you do if your husband said this to you in your own home? Hit like if you've ever faced betrayal, and comment where you're watching from. The morning sun sliced through the curtains, spotlighting Duro as he pointed a trembling finger at his wife. His expression was a mix of rage and triumph, like he had been waiting for this moment. Bola stood still, one hand holding the envelope she had just picked from the floor. She hadn't even opened it yet. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. Duro, what is going on? He let out a dry, mocking laugh and stepped closer. Finally, I get to say it. I'm done pretending. I'm done carrying dead weight in this marriage. Her breath caught. Dead weight. Duro jabbed a finger at her. Yes. You think I don't know what you've been doing? Disappearing from the office early. Entering strange cars. Meeting men in that secret building. Lying to me every single day. Bola blinked. What strange cars? The elevator doors opened and his sister, Beezy, marched in like she owned the place. Her face was twisted with disgust. Don't act innocent, Beezy shouted. We have evidence. You've disgraced our entire family. Bola's heart sank. Beezy, what are you talking about? I haven't. Enough. Duro barked. We followed you yesterday. Her body stiffened. You think leaving office at 2 p.m. every afternoon is normal? He sneered. Who leaves their job early, unless they're hiding something? I told you I had meetings, Bola whispered. His eyes widened mockingly. Oh yes, meetings. Let me guess, with that tall man driving the black Jeep? The one that opens the door for you like you're some queen. Her breath hitched. That wasn't a lover. That was Kunnel, head of corporate legal, whose job was to escort her due to security protocols, because she wasn't just an employee. She was the hidden owner of the entire company. But she couldn't say that. Not to a man whose ego couldn't tolerate a woman earning more than him, much less owning everything he bragged about. Duro, Bola said carefully, you're misunderstanding everything. That car belongs to your lover. Beezy screamed. Stop lying. Duro stormed to the table and grabbed his phone. Explain this. He shoved it into her face. The screen showed photos, her stepping out of the black SUV, laughing lightly as Kunnel said something, her walking into the restricted building where prime hold executives met, her exiting late at night escorted by 2 bodyguards. To someone without context, it told a damning story. To someone filled with jealousy and entitlement, it was enough to destroy a marriage. Duro, Bola said softly, eyes filling, this is a terrible misunderstanding. Misunderstanding, he spat. Cheating is cheating. I have never. He cut her off with a violent wave of his hand. Pack your things. Today. I'm not spending one more night under the same roof with a woman who humiliates me. Bola felt the room tilt. Humiliate you? Duro stepped closer, his breath hot with fury. Do you know how it feels when the office gossip is about your wife? Do you know how embarrassing it is that the security guard sees you leaving early and entering another man's car? Are you trying to make me look small? Her voice trembled. I never wanted to make you feel small. You did, he roared. And I should have been wise enough to see it earlier. You've always acted like you're too busy for me. Too secretive. Too important. His words pierced deeper than he knew. If only he understood the truth. That she lived every day trying not to overshadow him. That she hid her wealth so he could feel like the head of the home. That she endured being talked down to because she believed love required patience. But he was not seeking truth. He was seeking escape. And she suddenly realized. He wasn't angry because of the pictures. He was angry because he already replaced her. Her voice dropped to a hollow whisper. Duro, who is she? Beezy's face twitched with satisfaction. Duro's jaw tightened, the kind of tight that only ever meant guilt. Bola swallowed hard. There's another woman, isn't there? Silence. But silence was confession. The back of her throat burned. So this entire accusation, this tantrum. Don't you dare call it a tantrum, he shouted. You needed an excuse, she said shakily, to justify what you were already planning. Her eyes darted to the envelope she'd picked up earlier, the one dropped on the floor when she walked into the chaos. Her fingers tore it open. Inside was a document. Not hers. A marriage registry appointment slip. Her vision blurred. Her breath caught like a knife. Her knees wobbled. The date was 2 weeks away. Her husband was planning to marry someone else. Duro, she whispered, voice breaking. While we were still married, Beezy smirked proudly. A real woman deserves him. A sharp pain shot through Bola's chest. She looked at her husband, this man she cooked for, prayed with, supported, encouraged, and respected, and saw a stranger. One who would destroy her reputation just to clear his path. Her voice cracked. You are going to divorce me quietly after marrying her? He looked away. Her heart shattered. Duro, her voice trembled. I gave you everything.
My time.
My love. You're nothing, he barked. She froze. The insult sliced her soul open. You don't bring anything into this marriage, he continued bitterly. I carry all the financial weight. I provide everything. Without me, you'd be nothing. She inhaled sharply. A quiet strength rose inside her, painful, cold, but steady. Yes, she whispered. That is what you believe.
He scoffed.
I know it for a fact. Beezy folded her arms. Stop wasting his time. Leave. Bola wiped a tear from her cheek. If you want me to go, I'll go. Duro rolled his eyes. Good. And don't expect a single kobo from me. You walk out with nothing. She nodded slowly. If that is what you want. She picked up her handbag and headed toward the door. And Bola, he said mockingly, don't run to your boyfriend for pity. He won't save you. She didn't turn around. She didn't react. She only walked. Because deep inside her chest, under the heartbreak and humiliation, something was waking up. A truth. A truth Duro had no idea was standing in front of him. A truth that would reshape his entire world. She reached the door. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Your husband is making a terrible mistake. And the woman he plans to marry is more dangerous than you think. Meet me now. A location pin followed. Her pulse raced. She stepped out into the hallway, leaving behind a marriage built on lies, ego, and entitlement. Little did Duro know. He had just thrown out the only person capable of saving him from the ruin ahead. And soon, he would discover that the company he worshipped, the job he bragged about, the salary he flaunted, all of it belonged to the woman he had just called nothing. Bola inhaled deeply. The next chapter of her life had begun. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Bola, if you walk out that door, don't ever come back. Duro's voice ricocheted through the hallway, raw and furious. The security guard downstairs turned sharply, startled. People on the staircase paused mid-step. But Bola didn't look back. Not once. Her heels clicked steadily against the marble floor as she descended, every step separating her from a marriage that had already died long before this morning. Her eyes burned red, but her back remained straight. Let him shout. Let him threaten. Let him believe she had lost everything. Time would show something different. Outside the apartment building, the harmattan breeze brushed her cheeks, drying the tears she refused to let fall again. She stood there for a moment, holding her phone, staring at the pin on the map from the unknown sender. A deep part of her whispered caution. Another part whispered clarity. Someone knew something about the woman Duro planned to marry. Someone knew a truth she didn't. She clutched her bag tighter. Before she could move, her phone rang. Cunnel. She hesitated. If she picked, her voice would shake. And she hated appearing weak in front of anyone, especially those who respected her as the unseen boss. She let the call ring out. Then a text. Madam, board meeting is in 2 hours. Chairman insists you must attend. Are you safe?
Safe.
The word landed heavily.
No.
She wasn't safe. Not emotionally. Not mentally. Not financially. At least in Duro's eyes. But yes, she was safe in the ways that mattered. Because she still had power. She still had her identity. She still had her empire. Even if no one else knew. She typed back, "I'll be there." Then she turned toward the gate and flagged down a passing taxi. The driver, a thin man with a graying beard, slowed down.
Good morning, madam.
Where to? Bola showed him the address from the mysterious message. He blinked. That place? Are you sure? She frowned.
Why?
Is something wrong with it? Nothing serious, he said quickly. But people only go there if someone wants a private talk. Very private. She hesitated. Madam, he added gently, should I take you or not? Bola inhaled deeply. Take me. The vehicle pulled away from her old home, the one she now realized had never truly been hers. Her thoughts spiraled as they drove through Ikoyi. Duro's insults still echoed in her mind. You are nothing. You bring nothing. I provide everything. She closed her eyes, pained by how little he had understood her. She hadn't hidden her wealth out of shame. She hid it because she wanted a marriage built on love, not fear or greed. She hid it because husbands like Duro adored being in charge, and revealing the truth would have shattered his ego. Ironically, now his ego had shattered their marriage anyway. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Hurry. I don't know how long I can stay without being seen. Bola swallowed. Who are you? She typed. No reply. The taxi turned into a dusty, quiet street behind a cluster of old warehouses, far from the polished offices of Victoria Island, far from Duro's world of bragging and pretense. Madam, this is the place, the driver said, worried. Should I wait? Yes, Bola said, her voice steady. Please wait. She stepped out, heart pounding. The air was heavy with the smell of cement and engine grease. A single streetlight flickered even in daylight. She walked slowly, scanning her surroundings. Madam Bola. She froze. A woman stepped out from behind a pillar, wearing a simple shirt and jeans. Her hair was braided tightly, her face tense. Do I know you? Bola asked. No, the woman replied. But I know your husband's new fiancé. Bola's stomach clenched. Who is she? The woman stepped closer, lowering her voice. Her name is Ezen. Finally, a name. And, importantly, not starting with A or C. Bola steadied her breathing. How do you know her? I work with her, the woman said. Or rather, I worked with her. I resigned last week when I discovered what she was planning. What is she planning? The woman looked around nervously, then continued. Ezen is not who she pretends to be. She targets men, married men, with ambition but low self-esteem. She studies them, manipulates them, drains them financially, then leaves them ruined. Bola's breath caught. Duro thinks she loves him, the woman said. But she doesn't. She's after something much bigger. What? Bola whispered. The woman hesitated. Your company. Bola's heart stopped. My what? She knows you work at Prime Hold. She thinks you're just a junior employee. But your husband talks a lot, madam. Too much. He told her everything, even things he shouldn't. Blood rushed to Bola's ears. What did he tell her? She demanded. That he's expecting a promotion. That he will soon have access to confidential project reports. That he plans to show the incompetent board members what a real manager looks like once he becomes senior executive. Bola's jaw tightened. Duro had been bragging again, making empty promises about a position he wasn't even being considered for. And Ezen must have seen an opportunity. What does she want from him? Bola asked tightly. Access, the woman said. And when she gets what she wants, she leaves. A tremor of cold fear gripped Bola's spine. Her entire empire, her employees, her legacy were at risk because of a man who didn't even know she owned the building he walked into every morning. Why are you telling me this? Bola whispered. The woman looked down. Because I saw what Ezen did to my brother. She used him. Destroyed him. He's still recovering. When I realized she was targeting another married man, I couldn't stay silent. Bola felt her throat tighten. Thank you for telling me. The woman nodded and stepped back. Please be careful. Ezen isn't alone. She has people behind her, people who know how to disappear without a trace. Bola froze. Disappear? But before the woman could answer, a loud sound cracked behind them, like something heavy falling or being thrown. The woman's eyes widened. They're here. Who? Bola whispered, panic surging. Go, the woman hissed.
Now.
A dark figure emerged at the far end of the warehouse street. Bola's pulse skyrocketed. The woman pushed her urgently. Madam, leave. You weren't supposed to come in person. He must have tracked her. Go. Bola turned and sprinted to the taxi. Drive, she shouted as she jumped inside. Drive now. The driver didn't ask questions. He slammed his foot on the pedal. Bola looked back through the rear window. The woman who warned her had disappeared. The dark figure was gone too. But the message was now carved into Bola's mind. Duro's mistress wasn't just a side chick. She was a threat.
A threat to Bola.
A threat to her company. A threat to her family name. Her hands shook violently as the taxi sped toward Victoria Island. She had to protect herself. She had to protect her empire. She had to handle this quietly because a public scandal could destroy everything. Her phone buzzed again. It was a message from Duro. She hesitated before opening it. Don't think I'll take you back. You're gone for good. I'm marrying a woman who actually respects me. Bola's stomach twisted. He had no idea. No idea what he'd just walked into. No idea what awaited him. No idea how deeply the truth would cut. But Bola now understood one thing clearly. If she didn't act fast, Ezen would destroy him and drag her company down with him. Her phone buzzed again from Kunnel. Madam, board is seated. Chairman has arrived. They're waiting for you. Bola closed her eyes. Her marriage was collapsing. Her husband was planning a wedding behind her back. A dangerous woman was trying to infiltrate her empire. And the board wanted an answer from her tonight. She inhaled slowly. This was no longer just betrayal. This was war. And she had to choose her next move carefully. As the taxi pulled into the private entrance of Primehold Towers, Bola opened the door and stepped out, shoulders square, eyes sharp, heart burning. Tonight, she would face the board. But in the shadows behind the building gate, a figure watched her enter. The same silhouette from the warehouse street. And this time he wasn't hiding. He lifted a phone to his ear and whispered, "She knows." The security officer's voice sliced through the air the moment she stepped into the restricted executive lobby of Primehold Towers. His eyes widened the second he saw her, hair slightly tousled, eyes faintly swollen, the aura of a woman who had walked away from a battlefield. "I'm fine, Musa," Bola said softly, though her voice betrayed exhaustion. "I just need to get to the boardroom." He hesitated. "Madam, the chairman is inside. They specifically asked if you were in the building yet." "I know," she replied, inhaling deeply. "Let me go up." Musa stepped aside immediately, tapping his ID card against the elevator panel. As the elevator door slid open, he glanced at her again. "Madam, whatever is happening, please be strong. We believe in you." The words pierced her heart. If he knew the truth, that she wasn't just another executive consultant but the hidden decision-maker, he might have reacted differently. Still, support was support. And right now, she needed every ounce of strength she could gather. The elevator shot upward. Bola closed her eyes. Duro's message replayed in her mind. "I'm marrying a woman who respects me." And the unknown woman's warning echoed behind it. "She is after your company." Her hands trembled slightly. She clasped them together. This was the low point, emotionally, mentally, and physically. She was walking into a board meeting after being thrown out of her home, betrayed in the worst way, and ambushed by a woman who knew too much. But she needed to hold it together. Her company was at risk. Her legacy was at risk. Her entire life was shifting under her feet. The elevator dinged. She stepped out into a world of polished marble floors, floor-to-ceiling glass windows overlooking the Lagos skyline, and walls lined with framed awards her company had earned over the decades. Primehold Towers. Her grandfather's empire. Her mother's legacy. Her inheritance. But no one here knew who she really was. And that anonymity, once her shield, had now become her greatest vulnerability. Madame Bola. Connell rushed toward her, breathless. He looked shaken, more tired than usual, his shirt slightly wrinkled. His eyes scanned her face with concern. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. "I'm here," she replied. "That's not what I asked." She swallowed. "I'll be fine." Connell exhaled heavily. "The board wants answers. The chairman is pressing harder than usual. Something has shifted in the last hour." Her pulse quickened. Shifted how? But before he could explain, the doors to the boardroom swung open. A stern voice boomed from inside. "Let her in." Connell stepped aside, jaw tight. Bola straightened her shoulders and walked in. 12 board members sat around the long mahogany table. Most of them were older men in expensive suits. A few women in crisp executive attire sat among them, their expressions unreadable. At the head of the table sat the chairman, Mr. Roti, his gray eyebrows furrowed. "Madame Bola," he said without emotion, "we were not informed you would arrive this late." She bowed her head respectfully. "My apologies, sir. There were personal emergencies." He raised a hand. "We do not discuss personal matters here. Only company matters." The sentence hit harder than expected. "Please sit." She took her seat. Connell remained standing behind her chair, silent but supportive. Mr. Ot pressed a button on the table, and a digital screen lit up with charts, projections, and red warning signs. "We have a problem," he said. A cold chill crept through her. "The leak?" she asked quietly. The room stiffened. "Yes," the chairman replied. "The leak." Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. "We have reason to believe someone inside the company is attempting to steal confidential project data," he continued. The memory of the mysterious woman's warning flashed instantly. "She wants access something bigger, something inside your company." Her fingers tightened around the arms of her chair. "We traced unusual activity on the internal server," another board member said. "Someone has been trying to breach the restricted financial files." Financial files. The most dangerous corner of the Prime Hold labyrinth. If Ezen got access to those, Prime Hold could collapse from within. Investors would flee. Projects would stall. Competitors would pounce. "Who has access to those files?" a board member asked. The room grew tense. Everyone glanced at one another, then at her, and then at Connell. Bola swallowed. Connell cleared his throat. "Only 4 people, sir. You, the chairman, 2 senior IT directors, and Madame Bola." Her stomach twisted. "And the unauthorized attempts," Mr. Ot added, "are coming from a device connected to one of your floors." Bola stiffened. "Which floor?" she asked. "Your husband's." Silence smothered the room. Connell inhaled sharply behind her. Her heart plunged into her stomach. "Impossible," she whispered. But even as she said it, her mind spun. Duro worked there. Ezen had access to him. He talked too much. She manipulated easily. And she wanted the company. It made horrifying sense. And yet, the board didn't know that she was related to the company's founders. To them, she was just a mid-level executive with unexpectedly high access. "Sir," Bola said slowly, "I would never risk this company." "I believe you," the chairman said. "But someone connected to you is trying to." Pain twisted through her like a knife. "My husband doesn't even know."
She stopped.
She couldn't say it.
Not yet.
Not here. Not while she was still vulnerable. "Madame Bola," Mr. Roti continued, "we need to know if anything in your household has changed. Anything that might cause instability." The question pierced her deeply. Everything had changed. Her husband kicked her out. He publicly humiliated her. He was marrying another woman. That woman was dangerous. And now the company was being targeted. But she couldn't tell the board that her marriage had imploded just hours ago. So she steadied her voice. "Sir, I can assure you that my personal life has no impact on company security." But as soon as she spoke the words, the door creaked open. A young assistant rushed in, sweating, trembling, clutching a folder. "Sir, we just found something." Everyone turned to him. "What is it?" the chairman asked. The assistant swallowed hard. "Someone logged in with Madame Bola's ID 10 minutes ago." A shudder ran down her spine. That's impossible, she snapped. I've been here. The assistant stepped forward. His voice trembled. Madam, the login happened inside your home. She froze. Her pupils dilated. Her throat went dry.
Duro.
Or worse. Ezen. She felt the blood drain from her face. It gets worse, the assistant said softly. The login location shows motion, as if someone is still in the apartment. Her mind spun. Duro had told her never to return. But now someone was inside. Someone using her ID. Someone accessing sensitive files. Someone who had waited for her to leave. Bola's breath trembled.
Connell leaned in.
Madam, do you want to go check the apartment? I can go with you. But before she could respond, the lights on the screen shifted. A new alert flashed in bold red. Security breach in progress. Restricted files accessed. Everyone shot to their feet. The chairman shouted, "Shut down the system." But the assistant was pale. "Sir, we can't. Someone is bypassing the firewall from inside the home network." Bola's vision blurred. Someone was using her life, her home, her identity, to destroy her company. And Duro, her husband, the man who threw her out, was either clueless or complicit. She clutched the table to steady herself. Madam Bola, the chairman said, voice urgent. Go to your home.
Now.
Whoever is doing this is still inside. You must stop them. Connell grabbed her arm. I'll drive. But before they reached the door, before she could even breathe, her phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. It's too late. He let her in. Her heart stopped. She opened the message. A picture loaded. Her apartment door. Wide open. Lights on. And a shadow inside. The caption. She's already in your bedroom. Bola's knees buckled. Connell caught her. The boardroom erupted into chaos. The chairman shouted orders. Security called for backup. But all Bola could hear was the pounding in her ears as she whispered, God, what has Duro done? If you're loving the drama, don't forget to like, comment, and share. These themes of betrayal and manipulation affect so many families. What would you do in Bola's shoes? Comment below. Open this door before I break it down. Connell thundered, pounding with his fist so hard that the corridor lights flickered. Bola stood behind him, chest rising and falling, her fingers trembling. Not from fear, but from the kind of betrayal that makes your blood feel hot and cold at the same time. She stared at the polished brown door, the same door she had paid for, the same apartment she had furnished 2 years before she married Beo, an apartment she had kept secret from the world. And now her husband, her own husband, had moved his side chick into it. Connell hit the door again. Beo, I swear you better come out. Inside, movement. A muffled whisper. A click. Then silence. Bola swallowed hard. The corridor smelled of fresh paint and lemon air freshener, normally comforting, now suffocating. She wrapped her arms around herself, grounding her emotions. She needed clarity, not tears. She needed truth, not begging. A lock turned. The door opened just a crack. A woman's voice drifted out, low and irritated. Who is banging like that? This is. The sentence died the moment she saw Bola.
Dunny.
Her bright wig, wine-colored and curled at the ends, sat slightly crooked, as though she'd put it on in a hurry. She wore an oversized t-shirt that clearly wasn't hers. Beo's shirt. The blue one he told Bola he lost during laundry weeks ago. Bola stared at it. Her heart dropped into her stomach. Dunny didn't hide her shock. Her eyes widened like she'd seen a ghost, and she instinctively stepped back, clutching the shirt close. Connell pushed the door all the way open with one hand, forcing his way inside. Where is he? He barked. Bola walked in silently. Every part of her wanted to scream, to unleash all the fire inside her, but she held herself tightly. She walked slowly, like someone approaching a grave. The apartment was exactly as she'd left it months ago, her taste everywhere. Her teal curtains. Her gold-rimmed console table. Her framed art pieces from a Yaba craft market. Everything she had chosen with love. But now, her scent was gone, replaced by the faint smell of men's cologne and cheap strawberry body spray. Connell stormed toward the bedroom. Beo, come out and face your wife like a man. A sudden rustle. The bedroom door opened, and Beo stepped out, tight-jawed, shirtless, angry at being cornered rather than ashamed at being caught. Why are you here? He snapped at Connell. Who invited you? Then he looked at Bola, really looked at her. And something in his face shifted, just for a moment, into unease, then back into defensiveness. So you followed me now? You're spying on me, he said, pointing an accusing finger. Bola blinked slowly. Beo, this is my apartment. Dunny gasped and turned sharply toward him. Wait, what? You said your uncle. Shut up. Beo barked, cutting her off. But it was too late. Connell had heard enough. You moved your girlfriend into your wife's property, Connell said, jaw clenched. Have you lost your mind completely? Beo walked up to Bola, trying to intimidate her with his height, but she didn't move. Her stillness scared him more than any shouting could. You should have told me you owned a place here, he muttered. And what difference would that have made? She whispered. Beo scoffed and walked away, grabbing a towel from the sofa. The disrespect stung. Connell stepped forward, fury boiling over. Beo, answer her. Why are you living here with another woman? Dunny, who now looked like she wanted to sink through the floor, raised her hands. Please, I didn't know he was married. He said you were. Beo spun around aggressively. Dunny, shut up. But Bola lifted one hand. Let her speak. Her voice was too calm, too steady. The calm before a storm. Dunny swallowed. He told me you two were separated, that you refused to sign divorce papers, that you were toxic and violent, and he left you months ago. Connell let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Violent? Bola pressed her lips together. She wasn't surprised. Beo had always been skilled at twisting stories to paint himself as the victim. Beo glared at Dunny. Why are you talking? Who asked you to talk? Go inside. No, Bola said. She can stay. She deserves to know the truth, too. Bola turned to Dunny. I'm not separated from my husband, and there are no divorce papers. Dunny's face crumpled. So, all of it was a lie? Connell answered for her. Everything. Silence fell, the kind filled with knives. Beo suddenly raised his hands dramatically. Okay, fine. I didn't tell her everything. But that's between us. Bola, must you embarrass me in front of people? Connell nearly lunged at him. You embarrassed yourself. Bola's eyes swept the room, taking in the evidence of their life here. 2 wine glasses on the table, a set of keys on the counter, a pair of slippers that wasn't hers, a throw blanket she had bought now draped carelessly over a stranger's legs. Her voice trembled when she spoke again. Beo, why did you bring her here? Out of every apartment in Lagos, why this one? He shrugged. Because it was empty. It was ours, she corrected. He rolled his eyes. Stop talking like you're innocent. You hide things too. How rich are you really? How many secrets do you keep? You think I don't know you're hiding something?
Connell stepped forward.
Don't turn this around. You're not the victim. Beo ignored him. Bola, if you were open with me about your finances, maybe I wouldn't need to look elsewhere for comfort. A cold wave passed through her chest. Comfort. He met her eyes with a mixture of arrogance and entitlement.
Yes.
Comfort. Attention. Things you stopped giving me. Connell exploded. You're unbelievable.
Dunny shook her head rapidly.
I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Please, Bola, I don't want to be part of this. Bola held up a hand again. You're not the one who betrayed me. Her gaze returned to Beo. Do you love her? She asked softly. The question sliced the air in two. Beo hesitated, wavered, and that hesitation alone was its own answer. Bola felt her vision blur for a moment, but she steadied herself with a deep breath. Connell saw the shift in her posture. He recognized it, the same look she had during their father's burial when she decided to take charge of the entire ceremony after their mother fainted. A look of quiet, unstoppable resolve. Beo noticed it too, and he didn't like it. What are you thinking about? He demanded. She stepped past him and walked deeper into the apartment. Not to search, not to check anything, but to reclaim her space, even if just for 1 minute. She stood in front of the large window, overlooking the city. The night lights shimmered. Car horns echoed from the streets below. Then she spoke, still facing away. Beo, pack your things. He froze. What? Dunny's eyes widened. Cunnel smiled grimly. Bola turned around slowly, every word deliberate. You heard me. You, and whoever you want to live with, leave this place tonight. You can't send me out, Beo said, laughing nervously. This is my home. It's my property, she corrected. And you forfeited any right to it the moment you brought another woman here. Beo's nostrils flared. You think you can control everything because you have small money? You think you can dictate to me? Cunnel stepped forward. Beo, don't let me forget you're older than me. But Bola lifted her hand. Leave him. Her voice had changed. Sharper. Stronger. She walked into the bedroom, ignoring the mess. She reached into her wardrobe, and pulled out a small safe from the bottom shelf. Beo stiffened. What are you doing with that? Bola didn't answer. She carried the safe into the living room and placed it gently on the table. Cunnel's brows rose. That's the one from your office? She nodded. Beo frowned. I didn't even know you had a safe here. Of course not, she said, ice cold. You know nothing about me. His jaw twitched. I'm giving you 1 hour, Bola said quietly. 1 hour to get your things and leave this apartment. Beo's voice rose. And if I don't? Bola stepped closer, her face inches from his. Then I'll open this safe, and you will regret the day you ever lied to me. Even Cunnel swallowed hard. Dunny backed away slowly. Beo's lips parted. What's in the safe? Bola held his gaze without blinking. Evidence. A heavy silence crashed over the room. Cunnel whispered, Bola, what evidence? She didn't look away from Beo. The kind that can destroy him completely. Beo's face drained of color. You're bluffing. Bola turned to the safe, placed her hand on the dial, and began to turn it. Click. Click. Beo lunged. Stop. Don't touch that safe, Bola. I'm warning you. Beo's voice cracked as he lunged forward, but Cunnel stepped in front of him, one hand on Beo's chest, shoving him back with controlled force. Try it, Cunnel growled. Let's see who will end up on the hospital bed tonight. Beo stumbled, shocked, not by Cunnel's strength, but by the fear rising in his own throat. He had never seen Bola like this. Never seen her eyes turn this cold, her movements this precise, as though she had been planning this moment long before today. Bola didn't turn to look at the men. Her fingers kept turning the safe style. Click, click, click. Each sound echoed through the room like a hammer hitting bone. Dunny stood near the entrance, hugging herself, wide-eyed and trembling. She looked like she wanted to disappear. She looked like someone who just realized she had stepped into a fire she didn't start, but would still get burned by. Bola, please, Beo said, desperation creeping into his voice. Let's talk like adults. That's what I'm doing, she replied calmly, still turning the dial. Talking with evidence. He reached forward again, but Cunnel shoved him back harder this time. Guy, respect yourself. Beo's chest rose and fell rapidly. You don't know what she has in there. She's not who you people think she is. That's the point, Cunnel said. She doesn't need to be. Beo turned to Dunny. Why are you still here? Pack your things and leave. Dunny's lips trembled. Beo, what exactly is going on? He looked at her with irritation. Just go inside and wait. But Dunny stayed where she was. She looked at Bola instead, the steady, determined calm in her face. Something about that calm terrified her more than Beo's shouting ever could. Finally, with the dial in the right position, Bola paused. Her hand hovered over the safe handle. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. Beo's voice came out in a whisper. Please don't open it. Bola slowly turned her head toward him, her expression unreadable. So now you want to beg? She said softly. He swallowed. Hard. Cunnel shook his head. You should have begged before moving your girlfriend here. Dunny flinched, but Bola didn't open the safe. Not yet. Instead, she straightened, stepping away from it. Before I open anything, you will answer me honestly. Beo blinked. About what? Bola's lips tightened. Why did you marry me? The question sliced the tension in the room. Bayo froze, caught completely off guard. Connell frowned slightly, watching him. Dunny slowly lowered her hands from her face, listening. Bola, what kind of question is that? Bayo asked. A simple one, she replied. Why did you marry me? Was it love? Or was it convenience? Bayo rubbed the back of his neck, looking everywhere except at her. Of course it was love. Really? She asked quietly. Then why did you tell this girl? She gestured to Dunny. That I was violent? That I was toxic? That I was holding you hostage in the marriage? Dunny nodded slowly. He did say that. Bayo glared at her. Do you mind? But Dunny spoke anyway. And he said your family was poor. Connell's laugh was sharp and humorless. Poor? Are you mad? Bola didn't react. Not visibly, but a flicker of pain passed through her eyes. Answer my question, she repeated. Why did you marry me? Bayo sighed deeply, then shrugged with exaggerated frustration.
Fine.
I married you because I thought you were humble. I thought you would be easy to control.
I thought you needed me.
Connell stiffened. What? Dunny gasped softly. Bola only nodded. I see. Bayo rubbed his forehead. Things changed along the line. You started acting strange. You were hiding money. I wasn't hiding anything, she said. You never ask.
He scoffed.
How will I ask what I don't know exists?
Connell stepped forward.
So, because you assumed she was poor, you treated her anyhow? Bayo raised his voice. She didn't behave like someone with money. No expensive clothes. No flashy lifestyle. Nothing.
Who does that?
Someone who wants peace, Connell replied sharply. Bola held up a hand. Enough. Her voice was so firm, so final, that both men fell silent. She walked to the center table and sat down slowly, folding her hands in her lap. Bayo, do you know what the painful part is? He didn't answer.
She spoke anyway.
Not that you cheated. Not that you lied. But that you never saw me. You looked at me every day and refused to see me. Something in her tone made Bayo finally stop moving. Stop breathing. You assumed I was small, she continued. You assumed I was powerless.
You assumed I needed you.
And, because of that belief, you felt comfortable disrespecting me. Connell watched her carefully. Dunny wiped her nose quietly. Bola stood again, walked to the safe, placed her hand on the handle.
Fine, she said.
Since you're so curious, let's show you the woman you married. She pulled the safe open. The first thing Bayo saw inside was a stack of official documents, neatly arranged, well-preserved. He frowned. What is all this? He asked. Bola lifted the first envelope.
Thick.
Labeled with a gold seal. These, she said, are my ownership documents. Connell's brows rose in recognition. Your company files? She nodded. Bayo blinked. Your what? She handed him the envelope. He opened it, and his eyes widened. What is this? He whispered. Read the name, she instructed. He stared at the top page. Zentro Holdings, Zentro Foods. What is this? Connell answered for him. The conglomerate that bought your company last year. Yes, Bola said. The one that kept your job running. The one that saved your department. Bayo looked up, confusion and panic swirling in his eyes. So, what does that have to do with? Look at the next page, she said. He flipped it and froze. His lips parted. His knees nearly buckled. Owner, Bolanel. He looked up at her in horror. Connell burst into a grin. Now you understand. Bola's voice was quiet. Yes, Bayo. I own the company you work for. Silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. Dunny covered her mouth, stepping backward slowly. Bayo's face turned ashen. You're lying. She took the page from him and held it beside her ID card from the safe. Same name, same signature, same registration numbers. Bayo stumbled backward until his back hit the wall. No, this is not possible. Bola calmly placed the documents back inside the safe. I bought your company anonymously 2 years into our marriage. And I watched you receive promotions. I watched you brag. I watched you insult people. And I said nothing. Connell folded his arms. Grace covered your foolishness. Bayo shook his head repeatedly. You're a billionaire? Bola said nothing. The silence confirmed the truth. Dunny sank onto the arm of the sofa, stunned, speechless. Bayo wiped his face with trembling hands. Why didn't you tell me? Why hide this from me? Bola finally looked him dead in the eye. You were already taking from me without gratitude. If you knew I had that kind of wealth, you would have drained me dry. Bayo's mouth opened and closed like a fish. You think that of me? She tilted her head. Did you not already move another woman into my apartment? He had no answer. Connell stepped forward. Guy, the embarrassment you're about to experience? You deserve it. Bayo held the wall for support. Bola, please. Please. Let's talk. We can fix this. No, she said softly. We cannot. He lunged to hold her feet, but she stepped back sharply. Don't touch me. His eyes filled with raw panic. What are you going to do? Bola closed the safe, then locked it. Without blinking. I'm going to the office in the morning. His breath caught. Why? She looked at him the way a judge looks at a guilty man. To fire you. Dunny gasped. Connell raised his eyebrows. Bayo fell to his knees, shaking. Bola, no, please, my job, my life. You should have thought about that before destroying mine, she said. She turned to Connell. We're leaving. Connell nodded. Gladly. Bayo crawled on his knees. Bola, please, don't do this. She paused at the door, turned back, and said quietly, Tonight is the last night you will ever call yourself my husband. Then she walked out. As the door closed behind her, Bayo collapsed on the floor, shaking uncontrollably. And Dunny whispered, trembling, Bayo, what have you done? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping African family dramas. What do you think Bola will do at the office tomorrow? Comment below. Bola didn't sleep that night. She sat upright on Connell's couch, her back straight, her mind clear, her eyes sharp. The city outside dimmed, brightened, then fully awakened, but she never blinked long enough to miss a second. Connell watched her pacing from the kitchen doorway. Are you sure you're ready? He asked. Bola nodded once. Today is necessary. When she stepped out of the apartment in the morning, she wasn't the quiet wife Bayo thought he could toy with. She was the unseen power behind one of Lagos's most influential conglomerates. And today, the world would meet her. She arrived at the company headquarters without announcing herself. The glass building towered over the city, its blue panels reflecting sunrise. Employees rushed in and out, unaware that the woman stepping out of the black SUV owned every window, every corridor, every chair inside. Bola didn't use the CEO's private entrance. She walked through the main doors, calm, steady, dressed in a simple navy gown and low heels. No glam, no armor, just authority. The receptionist looked up and blinked. Good morning, Ma. You're early today. Is the board already in? Bola asked. Yes, Ma. The emergency meeting starts in 20 minutes. Good. She stepped into the elevator, pressed for the top floor. As it ascended, her phone buzzed. Messages from unknown numbers. Bayo calling. Bayo texting. Bayo begging. She blocked him without reading a single word. The doors opened onto the executive wing. The boardroom lights were on. The long glass table gleamed. Executives sat with laptops open, papers in front of them, murmuring among themselves. They rose the moment she walked in. Good morning, Madam Bola, the chairman greeted. We received your directive. Where would you like us to begin? She took her seat at the head of the table, the seat reserved for the owner. We begin, she said softly, with a disciplinary matter. Murmurs rippled across the room. Someone whispered, Is this about the finance irregularities? No, she replied. It's about my husband. Silence slammed down like a brick. They exchanged glances, startled but attentive. Bola placed a folder on the table. His name is Bayo. He works in sales management. I have reason to believe he has violated multiple company policies, ethically and professionally. The HR director adjusted her glasses. Do you want us to review his file? No, Bola said. I want him summoned here.
Now.
The chairman hesitated. Should we inform him who he'll be meeting with? No, Bola said. Keep it formal. A disciplinary hearing. No details. The HR director nodded and made the call. Bola folded her hands, waiting. 20 minutes later, the boardroom doors opened. Bayo stepped in. He looked exhausted, eyes swollen, shirt rumpled, tie crooked. He scanned the room anxiously, then froze when he saw Bola seated at the head of the table. His lips parted in slow disbelief. Bola, the HR director gestured. Mr. Bayo, please take a seat. He hesitated, then lowered himself into the chair opposite his wife. No, not his wife anymore. His judge. His voice shook. Bola, please. We can talk privately. Not like this. This is private, she said. Only the board is present. The chairman cleared his throat. Mr. Bayo, you were called here regarding misconduct allegations. Bayo looked around wildly. But I haven't done anything. I don't understand. Bola slid a document toward him. Her movements were precise, elegant, deadly. These, she said, are the complaints filed against you over the last 8 months. He picked up the sheets with trembling fingers. Late reports, missing funds, unprofessional comments, erratic behavior, absenteeism, suspicion of office affairs, misuse of company vehicles. His face drained of color. This is all lies. Who reported this?
Who?
Bola didn't blink. Your actions reported themselves. The HR director added gently, multiple colleagues submitted complaints, sir. He looked back at Bola, eyes pleading. You knew about all this? For how long? Long enough, she replied. The chairman cleared his throat again. Given these allegations and the severity of some, we are recommending immediate suspension pending investigation. Bayo shook violently. Suspension? No, please. I need this job. Bola, please, talk to them. That is exactly what I am doing, she said. Talking. Bayo reached across the table, desperate. Bola, please. I'm begging. She moved her hand away before he could touch it. You didn't think about begging when you brought another woman into my apartment. The room froze. Executives exchanged shocked glances. The HR director inhaled sharply. Bayo covered his face. Please, please don't do this. Bola stood slowly. Mr. Bayo, effective immediately, you are suspended from all duties. Your office access is revoked. HR will escort you to retrieve your belongings. No, he whispered. No, no, no. If the investigation confirms the allegations, Bola continued, your employment will be terminated. He fell to his knees, right there in the boardroom. Bola, I'm begging you. I'm finished if you do this. Please. Don't ruin me. She didn't move. You ruined yourself, she said quietly. The security team arrived at the door. Escort him, the HR director instructed. As they lifted him by the arms, Bayo screamed, Bola, please. Don't let them take me. Don't fire me. But she didn't respond. She watched him dragged out of the room, watched the doors close behind him, watched the silence settle like dust. Then she exhaled slowly. The chairman spoke carefully. Madam Bola, what is your next step? Bola looked out the glass wall toward the skyline, steady, resolute. My next step, she said, is divorce. But as she turned back toward the table, her phone vibrated, and when she saw the message on the screen, her expression shifted instantly. Kunnel. 3 words. Bola, come home. Now. Kunnel's message replayed in Bola's mind as the driver sped through the bustling streets of Lagos. Bola, come home. Now. No explanation. No details. Just urgency. Her stomach tightened. After everything that had unfolded at the company that morning, she didn't think there was anything left that could shake her, but the tone of Kunnel's text unsettled her deeply. The city outside blurred past, hawkers raising chilled drinks, commuters arguing over taxi fares, Danfo buses honking impatiently. But Bola barely noticed any of it. Her mind churned in circles. What if Bayo had shown up at the apartment? What if he'd done something reckless? What if Connell was hurt? What if this entire storm wasn't over, just shifting? When the car pulled up at her gate, she stepped out before the driver even stopped fully. Connell was waiting at the doorway. His face was unreadable. "Connell," she breathed. "What happened?" "Come inside first," he said. She entered cautiously. The living room was untouched, quiet, neat. But Connell handed her a small brown envelope. "This was dropped at the gate," he said. "By who?"
A boy.
"Maybe a courier. Asked questions, nobody knows him." Bola slowly opened the envelope. A single folded sheet sat inside. She unfolded it, and her blood ran cold. It was a photograph of her, taken from behind, standing at the boardroom window earlier, looking out at the city after Bayo's suspension. Connell whispered, "Bola, someone was watching you." Her hand trembled slightly, the only sign of emotion on her face. "Turn it over," Connell added.
She did.
On the back, written in quick, harsh strokes. "You think you've won? Just wait." The message wasn't signed. She exhaled slowly through her nose. "This wasn't Bayo," she said. "He wouldn't think this far." Connell nodded. "I agree." Her eyes narrowed. "This is someone else." "But who?" Before she could form a thought, Connell added, "There's more. Look at the second sheet." Bola pulled out the second page. It wasn't a photo. It was a document printout, an internal company memo. A memo she had not authorized. It announced a temporary leadership restructuring, effective immediately. Her eyes scanned the lines, and her heartbeat slowed. Someone inside the company had released unofficial documents. Someone bold. Someone who wanted chaos. Connell crossed his arms. "Who inside the company has access to your files?" "A few executives," she replied. "Mostly board members." "Do you trust all of them?" She paused. That silence was her answer.
Connell sighed.
"Bola, you're fighting on more sides than you know. If someone can shadow you inside your own building, if they can forge your documents, then they might have been working with Bayo." Her eyes hardened. "Or using him." Connell sat beside her. "You're strong. But even strong people need strategy." She closed her eyes briefly. The truth was, the entire situation was becoming bigger than a cheating husband. It felt orchestrated.
Designed.
Someone was waiting for her to make one wrong move. As she gathered her thoughts, Connell asked softly, "Bola, what do you want to do now?" She looked up, expression clear. "I want to finish what I started." Connell nodded slowly. "Then you need to prepare. Carefully." She inhaled deeply. "The divorce papers are ready. I'll file them tomorrow." Connell hesitated. "Are you ready for that?" "Yes." He gave a faint smile. "Good. But that's not enough." Bola looked at him. "What are you thinking? You need to protect yourself legally. Your assets. Your name. Your company." Bola rubbed her forehead. "I know." Connell leaned closer. "And you need to find out who's helping Bayo or manipulating him." Her heart tightened. She knew he was right. The biggest threat wasn't Bayo anymore. It was whoever wanted to destabilize her company. She stood and paced slowly. Her mind moved through names, connections, old disagreements, subtle tensions. Then she froze. One name surfaced. One person among the board who had always smiled too quickly, agreed too easily, watched too quietly. Her chest tightened. "Connell, if my suspicion is right, this is bigger than marriage." Connell nodded grimly. "Then you need more evidence." She looked down at the photo again. The words on the back burned into her memory. "You think you've won? Just wait."
No.
She wasn't done. She would find the sender. She would expose them. She would secure her legacy. And she would end this entire saga with dignity and fire. But before she could say another word, Connell's phone rang. He answered, and his face drained instantly. "Who is it?" Bola asked.
Connell swallowed.
"The state security. They said someone is at the gate asking for you."
Who?
Connell stared at her slowly. "They said it's your husband." Bola's breath caught. "What does he want?" Connell's voice was barely a whisper. "They said he's not alone." Bola stepped back. "Who's with him?" Connell took a shaky breath. They said a woman. And she's crying. And she keeps shouting that you destroyed her life. The room went dead silent. Then Connell added one more sentence, soft, but enough to shake the walls. And Bola, they said she's pregnant. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Why has the mistress come here? And why is she blaming Bola? Comment below. For a long moment, Bola didn't move. She stood in the middle of the living room, the photograph still in her hand, the threat still on the back of it, Connell's words echoing in the silent air. Bao is at the gate, with a pregnant woman, and she's shouting that Bola destroyed her life. Bola's heartbeat slowed into a cold, steady rhythm. Not panic, not fear, just clarity. Where exactly are they? She asked. Connell pointed toward the window. At the main gate. Security won't let them in, but they're causing a scene. Bola inhaled calmly.
Good.
Connell blinked. Good. It means they're desperate, she said. And desperation always reveals truth. She placed the photo on the table, smoothed her gown, and walked toward the door. Connell hurried after her. Bola, think carefully. You don't owe Bao or his mistress anything. I'm not doing this for them, she said. I'm doing this for me, and for the final piece of my evidence. Connell exhaled, resigned. I'll go with you. No, she replied gently. Let me speak to them alone. I want the truth without interference. He hesitated, but he knew better than to argue when her voice took that tone. Fine, he murmured, but I'll stand close. When Bola stepped outside, the state security immediately straightened. Good afternoon, Ma, one greeted with relief. They've been here for 15 minutes. Let them talk, Bola said softly. Beyond the gate, Bao stood holding a young woman by the arm. She was visibly pregnant, maybe 7 months along. Her hair was rough, her dress wrinkled, her face swollen from crying. The moment she saw Bola approach, the woman pointed a shaking finger. There she is, she cried. That's her. She ruined everything. She took all his money. She made him lose his job. She destroyed our future. Bola stopped a few steps from the gate, her face unreadable. Bao rushed forward, grabbing the bars. Bola, please. Please listen. I just need 5 minutes. 5 minutes, she replied. No shouting. No lies. The mistress, her voice trembling, stepped closer. Madam, please. I didn't know. He told me he was leaving you. He told me you were cold, controlling, that you didn't care about him. Bola didn't flinch. And you believed him? The woman's eyes filled with tears. I loved him. He said he would marry me. He said he would take care of me and the baby. His baby? Bola asked quietly. Bao swallowed hard. Bola, please let's talk inside. No, she said. You talk here. The mistress gripped the gate and sobbed. We're homeless now. Everything collapsed overnight. They kicked him out of the company. Our rent is due. He said you did it. He said you came after us. Bola raised a hand. Sudden silence. I haven't touched you, she said calmly. I haven't touched your finances, your job, your home. Whatever you're suffering is the direct consequence of the man standing next to you. The mistress blinked, confused. But he said, Look at him, Bola said softly. And tell me, does the story make sense to you anymore? The woman turned slowly to Bao. For the first time, she looked truly unsure. Bao's voice cracked. Bola, please help me. I'm begging you. Just give me something, anything. I'm finished. His mistress gasped at his words. You told me you had savings. Bao squeezed his eyes shut. I lied. You told me you were getting promoted. I lied. You told me she was the reason you were suffering. He broke. I lied. I lied to keep you. I lied to keep everything from falling apart. The mistress stumbled back, horrified. So, I was never safe? You never had a plan for us? You lied about everything. He tried to grab her hand through the bars. I did it for you. No, she screamed, jerking away. You did it for yourself. Bola watched the scene quietly. Not gloating. Not mocking. just observing. Then she spoke. Why are you here, Beo? He looked up at her, defeated, shaky, humiliated. Because I have nothing left, he whispered. And because I know you're the only one who can save me. Bola tilted her head slightly. You want me to save you? Yes. Tears streamed down his face. Please. After what you did? She asked. I know I don't deserve it, he sobbed. But I'm begging. The mistress wiped her eyes. He said he would protect me. But he can't even protect himself. Her voice cracked again. She looked terrified. Madam, she whispered, please if you can help us even a little. I don't want my baby to suffer. For the first time, Bola's expression softened, but only slightly. Her voice was calm as a resting ocean. I will help the baby. Not you. Not him. But the child didn't ask for this. The mistress fell to her knees, sobbing with relief. Beo reached toward Bola again, hopeful. Bola, thank you. Don't thank me, she said coldly. I did not say I would help you. His face collapsed. Then what do you want from me? He whispered. Bola stepped forward, close enough that he could see the fire in her eyes. I want the truth, she said quietly. All of it. Starting with the person inside my company who has been helping you. Beo froze. His mistress froze. The air tightened. And Bola knew instantly. They recognized the name she was hinting at. Her voice sharpened. Tell me who is behind you, or I walk away from both of you forever. Beo opened his mouth. The mistress grabbed his arm. Their eyes darted to each other. And then, slowly, trembling, they both looked at Bola. The mistress whispered, Madam, it's someone powerful. Someone close. Someone you would never suspect. Beo swallowed hard. And then he said the name. A name that made Bola's breath stop. The name left Beo's mouth like a confession dragged from the soul. Bola, it's D. He hesitated, throat shaking. The mistress squeezed his arm. Tell her. You've already lost everything. At least save yourself from more. Beo swallowed, then forced the words out. D. Bammy. The world went still. Cunnel, who had stepped closer without Bola noticing, stiffened instantly. D. Bammy, he echoed. From the board. Beo nodded miserably. He promised to help me rise in the company. He said he knew you were planning changes. He told me if I cooperated, if I fed him information, he'd create a position for me with bigger pay. Bola's eyes narrowed. Fed him information? What kind of information? Beo looked down, shame washing over him. Things about your schedule, your habits, documents lying around at home, overheard conversations, anything he asked. Cunnel muttered an angry curse under his breath. Bola remained calm, dangerously calm. So, D. Bammy forged the memo. He orchestrated the smear inside the company. And he used you as the pawn. Beo nodded again. He said if I kept helping him, I wouldn't need you anymore. He said he'd make sure you were pushed out slowly, quietly. Cunnel's jaw tightened. So, he wants the company. Bola didn't blink. He has wanted it for years. The mistress sobbed. He told us you were the enemy. He told us the company was collapsing because of you. He told us we'd suffer if we didn't cooperate. Beo wiped his face. Bola, I swear I didn't know he was watching you at the boardroom. I didn't know he'd send threats. Bola stepped closer to the gate. When she spoke, her voice was soft, but it carried more power than a shout. Both of you, listen carefully. They froze. You are victims, but you are not innocent. Beo bowed his head. The mistress trembled. But, Bola continued, I need the full truth now. What else did he ask you to do? Beo swallowed. This morning, he told me to create a scene. He said if he could show the board that your personal life was unstable, it would weaken your position. He sent us here. Cunnel's eyes widened. So, this whole dramatic visit was orchestrated? Yes, Beo whispered. He said you wouldn't turn us away. He said it would make you look emotional, unpredictable, weak. Bola's lips curved into a thin smile. Not amused, strategic. Did he mention the photograph? She asked calmly. Both Beo and the mistress shook their heads quickly. The mistress wiped her tears. We didn't even know about that, madam. So someone else took it, Bola murmured, piecing the puzzle together. Someone working with him inside the company. Connell exhaled. He's not acting alone. No, Bola agreed. He never acts alone. She stared into the distance for a long, heavy moment. Then she turned back to the pair outside the gate. Bayo, listen to me very carefully. He lifted his head, desperate. You will write down everything you just confessed, she said. Every detail, every message, every meeting, every instruction, every lie, every threat. Bayo blinked. You want a written statement? Yes, Bola replied.
Typed. Signed.
And witnessed. The mistress gasped. Madam, that means he'll be testifying against a board member. Yes, Bola said simply, and it will save him. Bayo shook. I'm terrified. Bammy is powerful. And I am not. Bola asked quietly. He froze. Connell straightened. Bayo, you don't understand the kind of war you're in. Bola isn't just wealthy, she's strategic. And she's fair. If you help her, she'll make sure you're protected legally. The mistress clung to the gate. Please, madam, don't let anything happen to him. For the baby's sake. Bola's eyes softened, but only slightly. You will both be safe, she said firmly. But only if you tell me everything. Bayo nodded rapidly. I will. I'll write it all. I'll tell you everything he did. Good, Bola said. We begin tonight. The mistress let out a shaky breath of relief, leaning against the gate. And that was when the security guard rushed forward. Madam, he whispered urgently. There's trouble. Connell tensed. What now? The guard swallowed hard. Another car just arrived. Dark SUV.
Tinted.
3 men inside. Bola's expression sharpened. The guard continued, voice trembling. They refused to sign in. They said they're here for Bayo. They said he knows why. Bayo's face drained of color instantly. The mistress clutched her stomach. No, he said. He wouldn't send anyone. He said we just needed to create noise. Bayo backed away from the gate, shaking violently. Bola, please help me. He's tying up loose ends. Another guard jogged up behind them. Madam, he added breathlessly. The SUV has moved to block the estate entrance. They're stepping out now. Connell's eyes widened. Armed. The guard nodded gravely. Yes, sir. Bola didn't flinch. Instead, she lifted her chin, calm and commanding. Bring them here. Madam, the guard gasped. It's dangerous. I said, Bola repeated quietly. Bring them here. The guard sprinted off. Bayo fell to his knees, shaking uncontrollably. Bola, please, they'll kill me. They'll kill all of us. Bammy knows I talked. And then the gate cameras chimed. A sharp, metallic beep. Someone had arrived. Someone powerful enough to bypass the estate security system entirely. Connell's eyes darted to the screen. His face changed instantly. Bola, it's him. She turned slowly. There, on the camera feed, Bammy stood at the gate, smiling, waiting. Bammy's smile on the gate camera wasn't warm. It was the practiced smile of a man who deceived with confidence and expected the world to bend beneath him. Bola stepped forward calmly, her shoulders square, her breath steady. Connell stood slightly behind her, tense but ready to follow her lead. Bayo? He crouched on the ground, trembling like a man standing before the edge of ruin. Open the gate, Bola instructed. The guards hesitated. Madam. Open it. The iron gate slid aside slowly, humming with mechanical tension. Bammy stepped inside.
Tall.
Well-dressed. Untouched by fear. His cologne reached them before he did. The 3 men behind him spread out, not attacking, but positioned like shadows awaiting silent orders. Bammy approached with measured steps. Madam Bola, he said smoothly, what an unexpected afternoon visit. Bola didn't blink. You're trespassing. He tilted his head. Am I? Or is your husband the trespasser? He owes me quite a bit. The mistress whimpered behind Bayo. Sir, please. Bammy raised one finger. She fell silent immediately. Then he turned his cold gaze to Bayo. Stand up. Bayo shook, unable to move. Stand up, D. Bammy repeated. This time, his voice held steel. Bayo rose shakily, holding the gate for balance. Cunnel took one step forward. Tell your men to stay back. D. Bammy gave a lazy smile. Relax. I'm not here for drama. I'm here to collect what I'm owed. And what do you believe you're owed? Bola asked evenly. D. Bammy's smile widened. Loyalty. Silence. And compensation for my investment in your husband. Bola folded her arms. Investment. Oh yes, he said lightly. He was quite valuable. Fed me information from your home. Allowed me to predict your decisions. He didn't even know he was helping me position myself for the seat you've been warming all these years. Cunnel clenched his fists. D. Bammy continued, but now he gestured at Bayo with amusement. He has become a liability. Bayo's voice cracked. Please, please, I'll repay everything. Just give me time. D. Bammy chuckled. You? Pay me? With what money? The one you don't have. Bayo lowered his head in shame. D. Bammy turned back to Bola. You have two options, he said calmly. Option 1. Help your ex-husband repay his debt. It won't be cheap, but I'm reasonable. And option 2? Bola asked. You let me deal with him my way. The mistress screamed. Please. He's the father of my baby. Please, sir. D. Bammy silenced her with a look. Bola didn't react. You finished? Not quite, he said smoothly. After your stunt at the board this morning, suspending Bayo so publicly, you made me look incompetent. Weak. Now the board is whispering. Asking questions. And I don't like questions. He stepped closer. So here's what I want, Bola. You step down quietly over the next month. Transfer your shares to me. Write a soft press release saying you want to focus on family. Simple. Clean. Dignified. Cunnel inhaled sharply. Bayo's eyes widened in horror. The mistress began to cry again. But Bola simply sighed, as though she were listening to a child demanding the moon. And what, she asked softly, makes you think I would ever hand over my company? D. Bammy smirked. Because I own the truth about your husband. And I control the chaos inside your walls. Without stability, the investors will sell. Your board will panic. You'll be out before you can blink. He leaned in slightly. So save yourself some dignity. Agree quietly. Bola reached into her bag. D. Bammy's men tensed, but she pulled out only a slim black folder. She opened it slowly. D. Bammy, she said gently, you've always been brilliant at manipulation. I'll give you that. But you made one mistake. Oh, he laughed. And what is that? You forgot who owns the game. She handed him a sheet. He snatched it, skimming arrogantly, then froze. His face drained of color. What is this? He whispered. An internal audit, she replied. Conducted quietly over the last 3 months. It details the shell accounts you created, the forged memos, the unauthorized transfers, the bribes to junior staff, and the funds you funneled from the marketing department. Cunnel added, every document is verified. Every signature. Every timestamp. Bayo whispered, You knew. I suspected, Bola corrected. But today, thanks to you and your mistress, I confirmed everything. D. Bammy's hands trembled slightly. Bola continued, this folder is already in the hands of the board's ethics committee. And an identical copy is at the corporate crime division. If anything happens to me, Cunnel, Bayo, the mistress, or even their unborn child. Her eyes hardened. Your arrest becomes immediate. The 3 men behind D. Bammy shifted uncertainly. The mistress gasped softly.
Cunnel smiled for the first time that day.
And in case you're wondering, Bola added, a recording of this entire conversation is happening right now, including your threats. D. Bammy spun around in disbelief. But the nearest gate camera's tiny red light blinked back at him. You, he breathed. You set me up. No, Bola said. You set yourself up. I just turned on the lights. For the first time, the confidence drained from his expression. He snapped his fingers at his men. We're leaving. But when he turned toward the gate, for state security trucks blocked the exit. 2 police vehicles pulled up behind them. Bammy froze. Bola's voice was calm. You're not leaving. The lead officer stepped out. Mr. Bammy, you are wanted for questioning regarding corporate fraud, embezzlement, and coercion. Connell whispered to Bola. Poetic justice. Bayo sank to the ground in relief. The mistress sobbed openly. Bammy looked back at Bola, disbelief written across his face. You think this is over? He spat. Bola met his gaze, without blinking. Oh no, she said softly. This is just the beginning. The officers cuffed him. His men dropped their weapons and surrendered. The sirens echoed through the estate as he was driven away. Bola exhaled, slow, steady, victorious. Connell touched her arm gently. It's done. She nodded once. Now I can rebuild. Bayo fell at her feet, crying. Bola, I'm so sorry, so sorry. She looked at him quietly. For the sake of your child, she said, I will ensure you receive help. But you will rebuild your life on your own. He nodded through tears. The mistress whispered, Thank you, madam. Thank you for sparing us. Bola turned toward the house, the evening sunlight glowing behind her. Let's go home, she told Connell softly. And together, they walked inside, leaving betrayal, chaos, and corruption behind them. She had entered the storm broken. She walked out unshakable. Justice served. Dignity restored. Legacy protected. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What lesson did this story teach you? Drop your thoughts in the comments.